Renewables aren't cheap, we know that, and we're told that we need 10,000 kilometres of new power lines to move all this electricity around, the renewable stuff. And we know there's been a fair bit of pushback from landowners in Victoria who don't want these great big ugly transmission towers built on or near their property. So the state government has set up a planning agency called VicGrid, which is meant to improve the consultation and planning process. And one of the proposals now being considered is one-off payments of up to $40,000 in compensation to neighbours who are, quote-unquote, significantly impacted by the projects. Now, you know, it costs all this money to put up poles and wires, and I'll tell you the reason, Natalia, that people love, or certainly power companies love putting up poles and wires, is because they are what are called regulatory assets, and that is essentially an investment.
I love when you talk sexy.
Oh yeah. It is an investment. This is everyone at home is, you know, you're just drying up now.
Everyone's leaning forward. No, they are leaning forward. Explain about this.
I'm not drying up. I'm moistening.
Tell me about the regulatory investments. What it means is, if you invest your money in it, you're basically guaranteed a return on investment, because the regulator sets the rate at which you get that return. And that's why, you might remember, under the Gillard government, it was all about, you know, gold plating the poles and wires, because the investors, the power companies, the people who build them are guaranteed to make money out of them. So they love building poles and wires. You pay for that through your power bill. We all pay for it. And now, if you're a taxpayer in Victoria, you're going to have to pay $40,000 a pop to people who have these things put up next to their properties.
Oh, as Victorian taxpayer, I just cannot count all the taxes I'm facing.
Well, they're going to start taxing you for the suburban rail loop now too, because they've run out of money. But it is at the point of ridiculousness that the state is broke, and we now have to spend money to say, oh, well, you know, we're going to put up these poles and wires no one really wants, and here's the compo on the way out.
But also, I'll explain some of the fiddle here, right? Which is in and around Ballarat, the P-off AusNet people that have had enough with the huge transmission lines being put over farmland. Now, this is farmland which, among other things, grows potatoes for McCain and producing the same for Macca's chips. So I'm very invested. Now, under that compensation deal, you would think that the landowners would receive this annual payment because it's these bloody big, radiating towers.
Yeah.
No, they're only going to be compensated for the square meterage of the towers and when they contact their land. So this is the government trying to find a way, but it's only a one-off payment. It's not an annual payment. It's not per tower. It looks like potentially it's per property. But again, what I find really frustrating here is, and I've been deeply involved in talking about how peed off everyone is there, stop voting Labor in areas like Ballarat. I mean, the very government that's screwing you with the power lines, that same seat sent back at the state election the Labor Party. Now, I would have thought that there were enough farmers, enough people in the streets, enough people annoyed. I mean, I don't understand the absolute intricacies of the politics of the seat. But this government, and again, I'm sorry to rub it in, but it's like there was a poll out today saying they'd win another term.
Yeah,
so this government can become so arrogant, assuming they can screw over their own people, offer them 4/5 of bugger all, tax them up the yin-yang, and just will always be in power. That is a really dangerous thing.
This is what Natalia was saying. It's a one-party state.
And that's disgraceful.